Welcome everybody to another Voice of Nick show. We're going to be doing more of our Posthomerica artwork here. And what we're currently doing is this, which is, where's our layer here? Yeah, this is our kind of like, we're not actually going to use this layer, but it's going to give us the guides for where to draw our actual lines. So let's keep going with that. Good. Oh, wait. Okay, so not good. Unfortunately, I didn't pay enough attention when I was starting this episode, because this is not supposed to go here. The next shape would be a diamond. That's what happens when you don't pay attention. But that's also the reason why we did this grid thing, because it's really hard to keep track of if we're not actually keeping an eye on it. Okie dokie. So after this, we can start the real picture, which I'm kind of interested to do because we've been doing this diamond thing for a minute. Like, none of the stuff we're drawing in this section is actually going to appear. None of this brown or this black grid is going to appear in the image. But what we're going to draw based on it will appear. Okie dokie. Now, we're going to take this, turn it down, turn this down as well. I guess it's already down. We'll turn that even further. Well, we still need the grid. Put this over this, turn this on. Good. Welcome Gaming Hour to the show. How you doing, Gaming Hour? Are you ready to finally draw our grid? It's been a long time coming. See, sometimes these lines come in too thick. I think it's just based on the direction the pen is pointing or something. Let's try and do this where we only do the one direction. See it? It feels like based on the direction of the line, it shows up differently. Oh, Game Hour is playing Ghost Recon Wildlands. Is that the newest one? I feel like I haven't seen a Ghost Recon come out in a while. I played a bit of Ghost Recon Wildlands back. This was like, it's probably like 5 years old now, right? Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm curious if there's another one that came out after. Of course, anybody who knows me knows that I have no problem with a game that's 5 years old or 50 years old. I will play them all, as long as they have a storyline. Yeah, I liked their radio station in Ghost Recon Wildlands. So in the future, we could do this, where we go all the way through on the diamond ones. Gaming Hour saying Wildlands was 2017. The newest was Breakpoint. I never even heard of that. Was Breakpoint the same basic concept, like an open world? Wildlands was going for like an open world co-op shooter thing. Was Breakpoint the same thing? Breakpoint. Was that a game of its own, or was it like a Wildlands expansion? Because I literally didn't even hear anything about it. Not that I keep that close tabs on games news anymore, but still. Oh no, we have a rogue stroke. See, that always happens. For some reason, this thing won't make pen strokes sometimes, and it's really annoying. Okay, let's turn off the guides for a second. And these, we can actually turn these guides off completely. We don't need these anymore for this picture. And let's turn off the grid. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking for. Welcome, Luxury TV. What you drawing? We're doing a project that I'm working on. I'm publishing a book of, it's an ancient Greek story that I'm publishing my own edition of within, my own introduction, my own supplementary material, and it's an illustrated edition as well. So this is our illustration. It's a story of the fall of Troy, which takes place right after the Iliad. This is the chapter where they literally build the Trojan horse. And each chapter is based on a different piece of, not a different piece, but rather a different style of Greek art. So from anything like this, where it's like, big figures that are like more detailed, to, this, where it's like the black figure technique, where they're kind of like more, for lack of a better word, cartoony, to the one that we're working on, which is called the geometric style of Greek art, which is kind of like a more ancient style of Greek art, where it's, more non-representational, I guess you'd say. But we're still representing with it. It's representational when we do it. Okay, so this is going to be, we're going to keep going this way. Welcome to the show, by the way. See, look, we keep making these rogue marks here. Are you a iPad art enthusiast? Luxury TV? All right, good. We missed a couple of strokes here. This one we want to fix. At the end, too, we're going to fix all this where we kind of ignore the guides and just draw whatever we think works. Sometimes you have to kind of take it into your own hands. Okay, so now we'll do this. So let's do all the lines that are going from bottom left to top right so that we don't have to keep flipping this picture around. Game Hour is saying Breakpoint was in the same setup, but it's a game of its own. I literally never heard about it. I guess it's just my own fault for not really paying attention. I liked Wildlands, though, what I played of it. They always said that thing when you would like scout the guys and you'd mark them. He would say something like, he would say, "You, me, and the baby makes three," which was like in the modern era, a pretty obscure reference to a classic song from like the 40s where they would say, "You, me, and the baby makes three." But I'm pretty sure people at there were a lot of message boards where people were just saying like, what the hell is this supposed to mean? Like, why does he keep saying this? I got the joke for whatever it's worth when they did it in Wildlands, though. I appreciated it. Okay, so now we're going to do all the lines in the other direction. Luxury saying, that's awesome. I'm a photographer and designer. I'd love to draw, but lose my patience with it. Yeah, I know how that is. Definitely, it's nice. I haven't drawn in a long time until I started doing this project. We've already illustrated, this is the 12th chapter, so we've done 11 chapter illustrations so far. And before that, we did a little bit of practice because I had never done digital art before. But until then, until I got the iPad, I hadn't really done a lot of artwork since maybe college. So, you know, it's been a little bit of time. And, you know, in college, I only studied traditional art in this, like on paper or canvas, you know, painting and stuff. And it definitely is nice to not have to do, yeah, 'cause the patience thing is like, I don't know what I would do now if I had to do all these designs. Like I'm doing this design once, but then I can copy this over to here where it's also supposed to occur. But if I was doing it on canvas, I would have to do it twice. And that's really annoying, so I know how you feel about that. What kind of design and photography do you do? I'm not that knowledgeable about photo stuff, but I do a lot of video, you know, for work and for leisure. So I'm certainly interested in the subject. The interesting, they did some awesome tie-ins in Breakpoint. Is that where they did, what was the one where they did the, actually I shouldn't say if you're playing Wildlands right now, I don't know what you'd know about or don't know about. I saw one thing about a really cool Ghost Recon tie-in. Let's say that it's very much in my realm of interest. It might have been, I don't know which game it was in actually. It might have been in Splinter Cell, one of the Splinter Cell games, now that I'm thinking about it. I would like to see Ubisoft just make their stuff into a big cinematic universe or a video game, the UVGU, Ubisoft video game universe. Because, I mean, obviously Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed should have been in the same universe from the outset. It's absurd that they didn't immediately say that that was part of the same, you know, franchise or whatever. But all their stuff could be in the same universe. I don't know. Put Far Cry in the in the Ghost Recon universe. Put everything in there. Desmond Miles shows up in Splinter Cell at some point. Are you going to see the Uncharted movie gaming hour? I don't really know anything about it. Although I wish they got, I know that they cast Mark Wahlberg as Sully, but what I saw of him very briefly didn't look like an old man with a cigar. That's what I like about Sully. I don't know. I'll watch it. I just recently saw Death on the Nile, which I enjoyed. Those Kenneth Branagh, Agatha Christie movies are like comforting to me. They're just like very, very high budget, extremely slick adaptations where like he knows how to make a movie and it's like not offensive and it's not great, but it's like just a fun movie. I appreciate that about those. Not every movie has to be like a 10 out of 10. Don't tell Kenneth Branagh that though. In case you happen to see him. Oh, Game & Era has 60 hours in Breakpoint. So you're going back to Wildlands then, huh? Okay, so we have our layer full of shapes. It's not exactly clean looking, but it's clean enough. This is still supposed to look like it's hand drawn by a, ancient Greek potter who didn't necessarily have perfect tools to do his pottery with. So we don't want it to look sort of exactly correct with all of its geometry. Damn, I can't get this line to go straight. Luxury saying I do horror-esque photography and do some basic art. Oh, cool. Emotes and stuff. Cool. Horror photography. Wow, I don't know. You're gonna have to elaborate on that one. That sounds cool. Do you go to like haunted places or something? I've been to one or two abandoned asylums and stuff. One of those things that, when you're young you do, and it's, looking back on it, sounds like a really stupid idea. It sounds like one of those things where it's like, damn, I'm really lucky that some like person didn't come out and attack me or whatever. Wait, didn't I just duplicate this? Why didn't it duplicate? Okay, so we just want to erase the parts that don't, overlap with what we already have. Luxury saying, so I'm guessing you probably really like writing and long-term projects. Yeah, I do. It's interesting observation. I do like working on something. It is an interesting observation. I guess I do, yeah, like taking on something that you can kind of set your mind to. I tend to play a lot of long-term like video game projects on my channel when I'm playing video games, and also do stuff like this where, oh, I see I'm duplicating the wrong layer, where I'm taking on something that kind of requires a lot of stuff. I've also published a few, audiobooks in general, which is what this project originated as, was an audiobook. So I kind of had some degree of knowledge of where it is, although I've never published my own audiobook before. This is definitely a first in that regard, as well as illustrating. I've never illustrated my own book. So yeah, I guess I like to go outside my comfort zone and just do cool stuff, whatever interests me. Like you're saying, we'll go to abandoned areas and dress all demonic and stuff. It can be scarier taking the pictures than the pictures actually look. A lot of scary stuff run-ins when you're in a bigger city with lots of homeless people. Yeah, I'm in LA. I definitely understand what you mean by that. But yeah, that sounds really cool. Very exciting. Yeah, it's one of those things that's like, after you take the pictures, it's like, oh man, that was like a pretty scary situation to be in. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, where it's like, you look at it later and you're like, whoa, that was a risk doing that thing. But it's all in the name of art, right? Very, very cool. Are you into horror movies and all that stuff? And horror stories. I just recently did the Sundance Film Festival, and when you go there, you end up watching a lot of movies all at once. You know, not necessarily knowing what they're all going to be about when you choose them, because you're just kind of like going in blind for most stuff. There's no hype about it because they're not even out yet. And like a lot of them I ended up going to were like horror movies, and I'm not really like a horror person, but going in without knowing they're horror, it's kind of a pretty crazy shock. It's like, it's even more fun doing it like that. I had a really good time with that. So maybe, long story short, I'm turning into a horror movie fan. The one that I really like for anybody who's interested is called Hatching. Whenever that comes out in the US, definitely give it a look. It's a French movie with some really great practical creature effects. Another thing, Nick also does Japanese streams, hence why his iPad isn't Japanese. Oh yeah, I guess that's that does require some explaining. You never played Wildlands, jumped into Breakpoint. Oh wow. Okay, yeah, I assume that's probably doable with that. I'm sure that they have a good, like, previously on, or just like the game probably works on its own, even if you didn't play the previous game. But then going back into Wildlands, it's like a whole new... That's the thing for me too, where it's like, it doesn't have to be the newest one. Like, even if you played Breakpoint and you go back into Wildlands like you did, it's new to you. So it's like, it doesn't matter if it's like literally new. It just matters if you've played it before, and if you haven't, then it's new. Yeah, that's the way I like to look at it as well. So that's, when I play like a PS2 game or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. Like, it doesn't matter if it came out now or 30 years ago. Like, I haven't played it. So let's do it like this, where we'll do all the diagonals in this direction, so we don't have to keep switching directions. Luxury saying that I should add that I'm super addicted to your playbook. I started listening yesterday, and I'm on 48 or 49 now. Wow, that's really impressive. I'm not the biggest horror movie fan, unless we're talking about psychological horror. I'd rather have a good story and build up than just a jump start. Yeah, agree about that. I certainly am on the same page. First of all, oh, you know what? My chatbot's not turned on. Imagine that a big celebration happened in my chat. Ladies and gents, if you don't know what Luxury's talking about, first of all, the Twitch Playbook is a free weekly podcast I created to help you guys with your Twitch channels. It's on iTunes, Spotify, all the major podcast platforms. Thank you for the shout out. I'm really glad you like the show. Also, it's a very impressive binge. In one day or 2 days, 48 or 49 episodes. That's a lot. But yeah, the horror stuff, I certainly agree. I think jump scare horror, definitely in the last 20 years, like, there's been a lot of that kind of stuff, and maybe that's what turned me off of it. I recently watched for the first time Rosemary's Baby, which is like, I guess everybody knows that that's kind of great, but I only really just first watched it for the first time, and it's excellent. Really good psychological horror. I loved Hereditary, which is pretty recent. I thought that was really good. The Witch, also really good. The Lighthouse. There's a lot of really, like, recently I feel like people have been, like, directors have been kind of like reacting to the fact that, you know, the early 2000s and mid 2010s have been like focused on psychological, or rather jump scare horror, and maybe now directors are kind of like reacting to that and kind of like pushing back against it, because there's been a lot of good psychological stuff recently. Because yeah, that's all the stuff that I like too. I get really upset when something just jumps out at me, because it's like they didn't earn that reaction from me. It's just like, it's like a gut reaction that doesn't really mean anything. So I agree about that. But yeah, I'm glad you like the podcast. Thank you for the shout out, and for taking the time to come by. Okay, so now let's zoom it out and see what this... Yeah, that looks great. So this is what the design we were working this whole time to get. We built this grid pattern. So if we take this away, first we built the grid, where we could draw the squares. Then we built these squares. I don't know what this is. We're gonna delete that. Then we built these squares so that we could use them to trace this, which we then traced on top of the squares. So neither the squares nor the grid were going to be used. This is the outline, and then now we're drawing this on top and then erasing it so that the pattern comes through. Gamer is saying, darn you, Nickbot 3000, not working on command. Yeah, you know, he goes to sleep. It's too late. It's past his bedtime, you know? He's trying to get some... Yeah. The bot is like an actual app that has to be open on my PC, and sometimes it closes if it like restarts or something. So yeah. Nickbot's gotta catch up on his beauty sleep. I'm doing now, Azure told me about actually, Game & Hour, the Japanese Film Festival. I don't know if anybody knows about this. So Japan Foundation, which is like the same sort of like nationwide foundation that puts out the standardized Japanese language test that they do to test like foreigners' Japanese language and get them certified. They put out all these like film festivals. And recently they did one that was like a food film festival, and I didn't get a chance to watch anything during that because I had family in town. But now they're doing a film festival for 35 countries, including the US, with English subtitles. And it's all sorts of Japanese movies that were either popular last year that didn't, you know, get a release in the US yet, or things that just don't have a general availability in the United States or other countries. It's really cool. I'm very impressed by it, and it's totally free. So I think it's jff.org, or you could just search Japanese Film Festival online. I watched one movie in it so far, which was about ramen chef who sort of like devoted his life to ramen, which was really cool. And I'm looking forward to watching as many of the others as I can. It's going on until the 27th, so anybody who follows my Instagram story will see which ones I watch. Otherwise, definitely recommend giving it a look yourself. Ladies and gents. Uh-oh, so we gotta zoom in here. So once we have this pattern, we'll put it in our bag of tricks before we merge it all down so that then we can reuse it if we ever need to. I don't think we will need to at this point. At this point, we're completely like almost done with the picture. There's not going to be many opportunities for us to reuse patterns, but we'll put it in our bag of tricks just in case. Game and I were saying that I'm impressed with the new Pokemon Legends Arceus. So can you explain what that is? Is it like a I've seen pictures of it, like very I haven't seen much about it, but is it like it's supposed to be like ancient Pokemon basically, like you're in like the equivalent of maybe like the 1600s Japan, but it's Pokemon or something. And you're like you're like the first Pokemon researcher or something like that. I really don't have much of an idea of what it is, but that's what it seemed like. And like with the name Legends, it seems like that too. Because that seems like a really cool idea, if so. All right, so let's take this. We're gonna put these in a group. Put that in the bag of tricks. And these are just all of our patterns that we've made across the picture so that if we ever want to reuse them, we can. Now we will merge this so that this is all one layer. And if this works properly, we'll duplicate this. Luxury saying, I've heard Rosemary's Baby is really good. Hereditary had the best cast I've seen in a movie. Probably the best movies are Us and Get Out. I get 12 hours a day working on my own factory, so podcasts and books are a lifetime. Oh yeah, well I'm glad that I could definitely contribute to that. I'm glad to hear it. Oh cool, before the pandemic you were doing design every day. Cool. Wow. Great. Oh, that's good to hear that you're getting back into it too. Well, congratulations. And I'm glad that you like the podcast. That I could be something to take up the time to kill time during the day. I'm the same way with podcasts and stuff. I don't listen to that many podcasts. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. But same type of thing, I guess. Where I definitely feel like I work from home, but I just fill every piece of negative space with audiobooks of like, if I'm driving to the store to do something, or even like walking outside, or even like walking from, the second floor to the first floor, like I'll play an audiobook, and I've gotten really good at kind of like filling that space with content, and just like really reading a lot of books that I haven't been able to read before. And it's the same with podcasts whenever I want to listen to one, where it's like there's so much time that you couldn't be reading a book. Like if you're doing something with your hands or doing something, driving or something, like there's a lot of things you can't read a book, but you could listen to something. And I think that's great. So yeah, that's why Twitch Playbook and Books and Games podcast, same thing, where it's like you're able to listen to something while you can't do anything else. Okay, so this worked perfectly. This fit here and here. Now we're gonna put the border layer on the bottom, and we're gonna put our guys, let's turn our grid layer back on. Also, we can merge all of this now. Merge. What did I just merge? Oh, I think Made a new layer by accident? Okay, yeah, merge this. Then merge this. Yeah, Hereditary, though, is really good. If you like Hereditary, watch The Witch, which is not the same director as Hereditary, but it's the same kind of like really artistic. It's like Hereditary, you watch it and you go like, this is clearly a different class of horror movie. Like, it's a different class of movie. It's just really good. And that's what The Witch is like. So highly recommended. And the same with The Lighthouse, which is the director of The Witch made The Lighthouse. So like same type of thing. Like The Witch and The Lighthouse, if you like Hereditary, I would recommend both of those movies. And The Lighthouse has Robert Pattinson, who is, I've been saying for years on my stream that he is the greatest living actor, one of the greatest living actors. And now he's going to get to be Batman, so that's awesome. Good for Robert Pattinson. He deserves the world. Okay, let's take this, all these layers actually, and we'll just put all of them in our bag of tricks. Whoops, not that. And what is this? There's a dot layer. Oh, we didn't end up using that. Okay. We already copied this, I think. We're gonna delete that. Now we're really trying to, I think all of this we can merge. There's no reason we shouldn't merge this. This we're gonna delete because we don't need it anymore. This is the top part. Let's just put this in this layer, I guess. Good. Game and I are saying, yeah. So basically it's the bygone era in one of the regions named Sinnoh of Diamond and Pearl. They use a steampunk style Pokeball, the Model T version. I love that. Your goal is to complete the world's first Pokedex. So that's exactly what I was thinking. Yes, so it's like you're the first person to like categorize or archive all the Pokemon. That's great. I love that idea. I don't know why they haven't done that before now. That's really cool. The newest Books and Games podcast is Pokédex entries, where it's like the original 150, and every day is a different Pokédex entry. And I've been having a great time. You know, we've already done it for The Witcher and for Bloodborne and for Metal Gear Solid, and now with Pokemon, it's really interesting because when we played it on stream, we read a bunch of the Pokédex entries, and it's kind of like Dark Souls, where like the item descriptions are so unassuming, but when you really read them, sometimes they're like really dark, or they have like sad stories or interesting stories, and they're very rewarding to somebody who reads them. And I think that the lore in Pokemon's a lot like that. Okay, this is what we have. Everything's done except for this, which is the lower border, and these guys, which is the men who are getting ready to go into the Trojan horse. Good. Luxury saying Hereditary feels like found footage, but more realistic. It never feels like you're watching an actor. And yeah, Robert Pattinson deserves a better legacy than Twilight. Yeah, he's been doing an incredible body of work recently. Lost City of Z is one of my favorites in the last like 30 years. He did Good Time, which is amazing. Like Robert Pattinson, I loved Water for Elephants that he was in. Everything I've seen him in, I haven't even seen Twilight. I'm sure he's good in it, but like, it's a franchise movie, so there's probably a limit to how good he can be. But like everything I've seen him in, I've absolutely loved it. Like if he's in a movie, I have to watch it. And yeah, I'm really glad that he's getting like a big movie so that everybody knows, you know, that he's so good. Because a lot of people get kind of pigeonholed by these kind of franchise movies where it's like somebody says like, oh, well, he can't do anything because he's the guy from Twilight, or, you know, whatever. Whoever else is in a movie, Tobey Maguire can't do anything because he's the guy from Spider-Man. But like, you know, a lot of these actors, they're capable of a lot of things. And Robert Pattinson definitely, and Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart is also a world-class, incredible actor in a lot of stuff after Twilight. I haven't seen Twilight, but I'm sure she's good in it. But she's been really good in other stuff. Personal Shopper, for a psychological horror fan. Personal Shopper is a really great Kristen Stewart role if you're interested in post-Twilight actor movies. But ladies and gents, that's going to do it for this one, though. We have a lot of this picture done. We only need a little bit more. Probably next episode is the end of this drawing, where we're going to get it to like 80% done. And then at the end of the whole process, we're going to put in the weathering effects and all the stuff to make it look like ancient pottery. But we'll do that later. So we'll have the design done after the end of next episode. Guys, that's going to do it. Thank you for joining the show. The channel is called The Voice of Nick. If you want to see more, don't forget to hit the follow button, and